Shalom friends, welcome to Jerusalem. We will now enter the old city where we will visit the Temple Institute. I think it's a very interesting place to visit. It's a place where you have people preparing to build the third temple. So we are now we walked from the Jaffa street, which is over there. It's one of the main streets in Jerusalem, and we're gonna walk down in that direction towards the old city of Jerusalem and enter through the Jaffa gate. So let's start our journey. So we are walking now towards the Jaffa gate, and you see the walls of the old city. They are walls built by Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century. So they are not like walls from Hezekiah time or the biblical times. They are more modern, and they they surround the old city of Jerusalem as it is today. So you can already see the Jaffa gate towards we are going, and in that direction you can see the so-called Mount Zion. And it is called Mount Zion, but in my opinion it is not the proper Mount Zion, because this is not where the city of David is. It is not where the original settlement of Jerusalem began. It identified as Mount Zion because the Crusaders, when they came to Jerusalem, they just named it that way, and there is no logical explanation for it being Mount Zion, because in David's time that mountain wasn't actually settled, and it was the city of David that was the main mountain on which the first settlement, the first Israeli settlement began. This is where the history of Israel began. So another interesting thing is that Mount Zion is not actually protected by walls, and there is some questions as to why that is. The constructors, what is interesting, the constructors of the wall that you see now, after they finished their work, they were killed, and the reasons for killing them are a question. One proposition is that the Suleiman didn't want the ruler of the Ottoman Empire didn't want the secrets of the wall to be known to people, so he killed the main two guys that were responsible for the wall. And the other reason is that they were killed is given that they did not do a good job, because they did not build a wall around Mount Zion, and that's why they were killed. But those are just suggestions, theories. We will actually go and see the graves of the constructors of the wall. It's right after you enter the Jaffa gate. You will be able to see it. So let's go and we'll walk through the old city, and eventually we will get to the Temple Institute. So over here, in the distance, you can see the hotel, the King David Hotel, which is that brown building that you see, and also you can see the beginning of the big mall in Jerusalem, the Manila Mall. So this is the panorama of Jerusalem today. It's a nice day. It's November, but it's about 20 degrees, so perfect weather. Not too hot, not too cold. There is a little bit of a fog today, so the view is not as clear as it is sometimes, especially after the rain. It's much clearer, but we still are able to see many things today. So this is the Jaffa gate. Jaffa means beautiful, so it's a beautiful gate if you want to translate it. You can see the decorations that are on top, and here is a big mezuzah. So when Jewish people enter, they touch a mezuzah and then their mouth. Inside the mezuzah there are sacred scrolls, the Word of God, and this is the old city already, the old city of Jerusalem. So this is, as we entered, you can see the gate now. And here, as I promised, you can see the graves of the constructors of the wall. So this is where they are buried, right next to the Jaffa gate. Many people don't know this, and they just walk by and they don't realize that the constructors of the wall are buried here. So they didn't live long after the wall was completed. They were killed. And this wall, what you see here, is part of a complex called David's Tower. Again, it has nothing to do with David. It's just named after it. This is actually the location. In this location, it is more probable that the palace of Herod stood. So, but that's of course much later than David. It's just named after his name. And you see some of the remains of this tower are much older. You can see the big stones, how big they are compared to the stones that are above it. The stones that are bigger, they are from a much earlier period, and the stones that are above are more modern. So you can actually enter the Tower of David. There is a nice show inside the Tower of David showing you the history of Jerusalem, starting from the city of David, the original settlement, and how it is today, when Israel is an independent country established after 2,000 years of being a nation living in the diaspora. This is a Christian Information Center, you can see here, and there is a Christ Church guest house over here. They also have a nice coffee house, which you can just stop in and have coffee. It's a nice atmosphere over there, very friendly people if you like coffee, but you can have other things. You can have a tea, you can have a cake, whatever you like. So this is the place, and now we are going deeper in to the center of the old city. You can see the signs here. This is the direction towards the Western Wall, the Zion Gate, and the Dam Gate. And we're gonna go closer to the Western Wall because that's where the Temple Institute is. Now we are entering the Armenian quarter in the old city of Jerusalem. And it's interesting that Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem, is divided into 4 parts. You have the Christian quarter, you have the Muslim quarter, you have the Jewish quarter, of course, and the Armenian quarter. So, you know, Armenia, it seems like it's kind of like random that you have this Armenian quarter, but there is logic to it, because Armenia, I don't know if you know this, but Armenia became the first nation that accepted Christianity as a whole nation. So that's why they're very important historically. And they have a right, in a sense, to have their own quarter because of that. So we need to be a little bit careful here because cars are driving. You see there is not a lot of space. So just you need to watch out when you walk here. Be careful. Okay, we are now gonna turn. See, another sign showing you where we're heading. So we're not gonna go in the direction of the Zion Gate and the so-called Zion Mountain, but we're gonna go towards the Western Wall. Today is, you can see, quiet. There's not a lot of people, but when there is time for prayer, these streets can get really crowded, especially when you come here during like a biblical holiday, like Passover, like Shavuot, Sukkot. Man, it's crowded here. It's difficult to see anything. You just see the waves of people going towards the Western Wall. So here you will see as we walk, you will see a lot of yeshivas, which are schools, religious schools. Oh, and here you can see a nice sign welcoming you to the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem, of the city, the old city of Jerusalem. So we're now entering the Jewish quarter. So a lot of those religious schools here, the schools of the Torah, and you can see that Jerusalem is built, the old city especially, with a special stone called the Kurkar stone. It's a stone which is very popular in Israel. It's a sandstone, and because of its color, when you walk Jerusalem during sunrise or sunset, when the sun shines on the stones, they become like gold. They become yellow in color, even more than they are now, and it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful sight. So here we are actually crossing. We will cross this ancient road, which goes back to the Roman times. This was the Cardo, the main road in Jerusalem during the Byzantine period. So we're gonna cross it. Of course, after Jerusalem was destroyed, Jerusalem was redesigned and the main roads were changed. The Temple Mount became abandoned, and the center of the city also moved, and that was actually the center here where we are now. So you can see the western part of the Cardo, which led from here to the Damascus Gate. And what is interesting, on this road you had many shops that were next to it, and today if you walk and you walk a little bit further, you also have modern stores that are open now. So it's interesting that what used to be is once again being used in the same way. So here you have the Huvra synagogue. It's the biggest synagogue in the old city of Jerusalem. It's a beautiful synagogue, and it's right at the heart of the old city. And right next to the synagogue you have the menorah, which was again prepared by the Temple Institute, which we are gonna visit in a second. It's a menorah made out of pure gold, and you can see how big it is. So it's you can read the information here. got a guy singing next to the synagogue. There's some tourists here. A cat. So this is the atmosphere of the Jewish quarter in the old city of Jerusalem. It's quite something special. You won't find it anywhere else in the world. The ancient mixes with the modern, religious with the secular. Everything is here. So we're getting close, very close now to the Temple Institute. We're also very close to the Western Wall. Holy Bagel. Okay guys, so you can see the Mountain of Olives in the perspective over there, and we are standing right next to the Temple Institute. You can see shape of the Ark of the Covenant, and you can see the sign welcoming you. So let's first go here, show you the view, so you know how it looks, where we are exactly. There's a map here. I will show you. We are here. Here's the Temple Mount. This is the Western Wall Plaza. So we'll be able to see it maybe from this spot. Let's see if you will be able to see it. I would have to probably go a little bit further, but you see the corner of the Temple Mount right here. So that's where we are now, and we're gonna go to the Temple Institute and see the exciting stuff. Okay guys, so change of plan. Instead of the Temple Institute, I was planning to go there, but they won't allow us to record, which is of course a pity, because I wanted to show you the many things they have prepared there. But if I can't record it, well, you can't see it, so there is no point. You can go on their website and see, I guess, what they have. You can come here yourself, but instead what we're gonna do today, we're gonna go to the Davidson Archaeological Park and see some really cool stuff over there. So we're gonna go to a place where you have the remains of showing you Jerusalem as it was in the times of the 1st century. So this is also very exciting. We'll see some very, very cool steps also, very nice steps that led to the Temple Mount, the steps and the gates, the Hulda Gates. So let's go. So this is the entrance to the QUATER, to the western wall, and it's going through. It's coming from the Dung Gate, which is over there. So you have to come through the Dung Gate and pass an extra security over here to enter the Western Wall Plaza. But we're not gonna go there. This maybe we'll go later. But first, we'll go down to the Davidson Center, which is beneath. And you know, if you come here in the Ottoman era, for example, all those stones were covered with dirt, so you couldn't see anything of this. So now we're going towards the Dung Gate, and we're very close now to the city of David. If we get out of the Dung Gate and walk a little bit further, we would be in the city of David. And what you see here, many people celebrate their weddings or bar mitzvah. So this is a bar mitzvah ceremony. When a Jewish boy reaches the age, he becomes a grown man. Big joy for the whole family, for the whole community. To the Davidson Center. This is the Dung Gate. The ceremony is still going on. The bar mitzvah. There's people celebrating here too. But we're gonna go to the Archaeological Park. Let's go. Okay guys, so we entered the archaeological park, the Davidson Center Archaeological Park. This is where at the entrance. We were just up there next to the dam gate, so now we're gonna go over here. I want to show you some really interesting things. And remember, all of this, if we would come here in the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, all of that was covered by dirt, and you couldn't see any of this. And you really have a mosaic of stones here of different periods. You can see really big stones, smaller stones, and columns, parts of columns. The bigger the stone is, the later the period, the older the period. So and you can also recognize that the stones, some of the stones are decorated in a special way with a type of boss, which also tells you from what period it is. So this is the view of the temple mount. And you see, as you go up, the stones go smaller and smaller. And what is interesting, you can see a symmetry here. As far as the big stones go, they line up perfectly. But if you go up, you see that the stones are not lined up in a perfect line. And that's because the technology got worse and worse. So you can see we're gonna go down now. There's a group here, so we're just gonna go past them.
Oh, I see.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Now, here's what's cool.
Okay, so we are now standing on a road from the 1st century. You see? This is a road that was here in the 1st century, our day. And this huge pile of stones are stones that were thrown down from the Temple Mount on the street. Some of them have been collected so that you can see the street, but you can see the destruction, how the stones fell and how they destroyed the street. Those are the stones that the Romans threw down from the temple onto this street. And they're huge. Just look at them. How much force was needed to destroy all of that. So an amazing view. Let me go up a little bit so you can see it from a different angle. Trumpets now. And what you see here, there's something like sticking out of the wall. This part is, they tell, is part of the Robinson's Arch. It was named after an archaeology person, an archaeologist who discovered it. Because up to, this is actually where it starts, where it sticks out, the part which is above. This is where the before it was all covered with dirt. So one of the entrances to the temple was probably here. You see visibly, you can see clearly how the stones stick out. And this is where they believe the Robinson's Arch was. I mean, it was named after Robinson, who was an archaeologist who discovered it during the Ottoman era. But it was one of the entrances going from the west towards the temple. So you can see how it sticks out. You know, the Romans really wanted to destroy the temple, and they tried really hard, but they got to a certain point when it was just not, there was no point. So they destroyed a lot. Some of it is still visible. You can see how the destruction, when the stones fell, they just demolished this street. And also what has been found here is that you can find stores. These here were ancient stores where people would bargain, where people would sell. You know, when you come to the temple, when you came to Jerusalem, you didn't just come with your own livestock, because it was a hassle, especially if you traveled from really far. So what they did is they had stores around the temple where you could purchase an animal for the sacrifice. So many of those stones of those stores were found, and you can see them here. Okay guys, so we're on the corner where the Temple Mount ended, this Temple Mount complex ended. You can see we're just standing on the bottom, and you can see the top, and once again you can see how the stones in the times of Herod, they were perfectly lined up. The line is just perfect. And if you go up, the smaller stones, you see how it's not perfectly aligned. It's crooked, and that's because the technology is not that good. You can also see clearly here how the arch, part of the arch that was left, is sticking out. This was one of the entrances to the temple complex. It is this bridge, this entrance is known as the Robinson's Arch. It's named after the archaeologist Robinson. So before he started excavating this place, everything was covered. Even the sticking part of the arch was covered with dirt, so you didn't see all of those stones. And in that direction you have the Western Wall. So behind this stone structure, behind this wooden bridge where people enter the Temple Mount today, there is the Western Wall. And here is a very interesting finding, because in this place they found the place of trumpeting, as it is translated from Hebrew. You see the Hebrew words here, the Hebrew letters. It translates into the place of trumpeting. So during Shabbat, it is believed that the priests would come to this corner, the corner of the Temple Mount, and they would blow a trumpet to announce the beginning and the end of Shabbat. So they would come here and they would blow the trumpets. The priest would come to this place right here to blow the trumpet, and it was found in this place, this inscription. So it's quite astonishing. So now we're gonna go to we are now looking from the west, and we're gonna go to the southern side of this archaeological park, because there are some more interesting things we can see there. So let's go. So here once again you can see the view on the street from the 1st century AD. The massive stones that were thrown down from the Temple Mount by the Romans when they destroyed the temple in AD 70. And we're gonna go now to the southern part of the archaeological park. Once again you can see a mosaic of stones, and the bigger stones are Herod's. The perfect alignment of stones is made by Herod engineers, and the smaller stones are from Ottoman period, and the technology was certainly inferior to the technology that Herod engineers had. Just shows you the grand design of this place, how Herod used the best stones, the biggest stones, the most beautiful stones, and you can imagine how beautiful the temple would have looked. So we hear in the background still the bar mitzvah. You can hear them singing. It's a joyful day for them. Celebrate. You know, when a boy reaches the age of bar mitzvah, he is allowed actually to read from the Torah. And it's a very special day because only adults can read from the Torah, and he's considered to be a full man from that time. To read the Torah, you need to be a grown man.
I recognize that sound.
I like that. They come back, not as good though. They were there when I got there, I don't.
Try out the cut.
So we are now standing next to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is that gray cupola above. And this place where we are here, they used to have the the palaces beneath it. So you can see the structures over here and how it looks today. And the Al-Aqsa Mosque actually was much bigger than it used to be, than it is now. So originally it was much wider. Now it's much thinner. So you can read the information about the Umayyad palaces. So when the Muslim people started developing the Temple Mount, they built, of course, the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Dome of the Rock, and the palaces around. The palaces got destroyed, but the Al-Aqsa Mosque was rebuilt a few times in history, and it's still standing today. So there is an active archaeological site here. They're still discovering new things. And Israel, of course, is one big archaeological park. Wherever you dig, you find something. All the civilizations were here. So let's go. Now I want to take you to the Hulda Gates, where the Hulda Gates were located, and where the main entrance to the temple was from the south. People today tell that the temple was not located here. Some people say it was located in the city of David. But this is, I don't want to use words to offend anybody, but you know, they found so many evidences here of the temple that it's really hard to believe. It's really hard to understand why people still believe that the temple was located in the city of David. I mean, they found the entrances to the temple as described by the Mishnah and Josephus. They found the stones, they found the trumpeting place stone. They found the mikvahs. You know, there's so many mikvahs around this place. I will show you some later on. But mikvahs were, of course, religious pools that you would have to enter in order to be clean and enter the Temple Mount. So why would they be here if the temple was in the city of David? That doesn't make any sense. It's just illogical to think that the temple was in the city of David. And you know, in the city of David, they're also digging, and they didn't find any evidence that the temple was there. So it's illogical in my opinion, and all the serious archaeologists would never tell you that the temple is in the city of David. It's not probable. There's, first of all, no space for it. So we just walked through a small arch, and now we're gonna go closer to one of the main entrances to the Temple Mount. And it's an interesting sight that people today are walking up those stairs as they would walk in the 1st century AD. It's quite a sight. So let's go closer to the Hulda Gates. And here you can see the view on the Mount of Olives.
You're what I'm looking for.
Over there is the city of David in that direction, and you have the Kidron Valley that separates the Mount of Olives from the Temple Mount. There's an Arab neighborhood over there. The Silvan it's called. It's an Arab neighborhood. Here you have the Mount of Olives. And here you have the Temple Mount. So you would go from the city of David up here where the temple was located. So let's go.
Oh yeah, 10 minutes, sorry.
That's it? Yeah.
So this is the main entrance. This was the main entrance from the south to the Temple Mount. You can see a picture showing how it looked. And here you can see how it looks today. So you see a bit of an arch sticking out. That was one entrance, and the other one was over there. And actually people used one entrance to enter, and the other one was the exit. So you would enter through one and get out through the other one. It's amazing. We see stones, original stones led to the temple, and the stones are irregular. They're not like perfect length, the same. And this is for people, so that people wouldn't rush toward the temple. They would walk slowly. You would have to contemplate. So that was one entrance or exit over here. You would enter through here. You would go into tunnels that would lead you up to the Temple Mount. So once again, those stones are original. So those are the original stones that Herod used to construct the temple complex. Herod enlarged the temple complex so it could accommodate much more people coming into Jerusalem, especially for the Jewish feasts, for the Jewish holidays, for the biblical holidays like Passover, Sukkot, Shavuot. You know, Josephus told us that during biblical feasts you would have about 1 million people in Jerusalem. So obviously the temple complex had to be enlarged and facilities had to be built to accommodate all those people. You know, that's why we have so many mikvahs. That's why we have so many shops that sold livestock, that sold things that were needed for the ceremonies in the temple. And of course Herod he was not considered a Jewish person. He wanted to be, but many people did not accept him because he had an ancestry coming from the Idumean people. So by building the temple, he actually wanted to gain favor in the eyes of the Jewish people. So now we're entering, we're getting closer to the other passage. So you can see the arches, the three arches. There were, as I told you, there were two passageways. One was a free arch, as you can see here, or three arches through which you would go into the temple. And there was also another one over there where we were standing just a few minutes ago, and that was two arch entrance. So you have proof right here. You can see it with your own eyes. Not the temple stood here, because the Mishnah mentions those things: the entrance from the south, the entrance from the west. The same Josephus mentions all those entrances, those passages to the temple. And thanks to archaeology, we were able to find them. So once again, you can see a view showing the temple, where it stood, the Temple Mount, and in the distance you see the so iconic Mount of Olives, which is an ancient grave site for the Jewish people. Mount of Olives, from the times of Jewish kings, was used as a grave site, and according to the Jewish prophecies, to prophets such as Zechariah, this is also a place where Messiah will come. He will step down on the Mount of Olives and enter the temple through the eastern gate, which is right behind this wall. So we are now in the south. Back there you see a group of people standing on like a balcony. This is the city of David. And this is where the first settlement of the Jewish people began, and we are standing next to the Hulda Gates, the entrance from the south to the temple complex. Beneath us you have many remains. Many of them are from a much later periods, from Muslim periods, houses that were built on a very ancient site, because that's what people did when one civilization came and they destroyed and built upon. Sometimes they used the same stones to build up new things. That's why you have this mosaic of stones. You know, some stones you can see here are original, they're big, and some are just added later. So those stones are not original, they're rebuilt to show you how the original stones looked. So you see one stone is bigger, and you have a shorter stone, and again a bigger stone. And that's why it was made for a purpose. It was made so that people wouldn't rush to the temple. They would go slowly. You know, you had to walk like this, slowly to the temple. couldn't also go down quickly. You had to go really slow. So here you have one of the mikvahs from the second temple period. You see the steps that went into the pool, and you have so many of those around the temple complex. This is just one of them, showing you the purification process that was needed before entering the temple. So again, you would have two rows of steps. With one you would enter, and with another one you would exit as clean, so that you wouldn't corrupt with your uncleanness the other people. So guys, as I was telling you, in history, this is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. We're just standing beneath the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque actually got destroyed a few times in history because of earthquakes, because of other people destroying it, and it had to be rebuilt. And you can see the cracks in the wall, and you can it kind of looks like it's gonna fall apart again. So it's quite an interesting thing that the stability of this structure is not that good, and another earthquake actually may cause a total destruction of the structure. So because it's not very well supported, so another earthquake and this will be gone, and you know what that means. So we're living in exciting times. So finally, last shot showing you the stones, the ancient stones leading to the Temple Mount. Some believe that it is here that the Pentecost happened, that this is here where people gathered. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you forgive me that we didn't go to the Temple Institute. Unfortunately, you cannot film over there, but I'll try to do more material on the Temple Mount later on. So I'll definitely get back to the topic. But I hope you enjoyed this, because this is also amazing, showing you history, showing you evidence of the biblical times. So thank you for your attention. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Please comment, leave a like, please subscribe to the channel to receive information about new episodes. And if you think that my work is good, you can also support the channel to help me create even more videos for you. So have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Shalom.